Hello and welcome to the PolyInnovator. This is the Now Page update for December 2023. Almost forgot what year it was. 'Tis the season, as they say, and this time of year always gets me. It's one of those things where once that cold hits, my bones start to ache, my energy starts to drain. Right now I'm looking at the camera, and behind the camera is a dark, gloomy day that I did not enjoy. However, I'm here, I'm jolly, as best I can be, and I wanted to share some updates with you because this particular season seems to be something good. Normally around this time of year, I'm struggling financially, either because the swim lessons are obviously not that common during the cold season. Even if I had still taught in the indoor pool, they still kind of dip down this time of year. And since I don't have other jobs that are taking up a lot of hours, I just have that one part-time remote and karaoke right now. That's really kind of about it. Income is one of those things where I was like, oh, it's not that great. But with the remote job, it's getting better, and I think that it's only going to get better as time gets on, which is going to be really nice. So at the end of winter, at the beginning of next year, it's going to be better, hopefully. Now, when it comes to what's happening now, what comes up next is, well, actually, before I get into that, let's roll the intro. This way? Yeah. When it comes to what's happening right now, I am still juggling many different balls, just spinning many different plates, and that was the point of this year. A year ago, you'll see me talking about this, how I was planning it out. I was planning on doing multiple things this year, boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, at the beginning of the year in January, I was obsessed about making this video game. I still would love to do it, and I'm still generating different beta designs, but I can't really do much more than that right now. I can't really work on the game very much, and I can't focus on that. And really, I don't think I'm ready yet. And I think that PolyInnovator Gaming, the sub-brand, is actually going to go really hand in hand with that video game development, and I really want to get that built up first before I can work on this. So the game, put off to the side. I just can't deal with it. Can't be arsed. And so after that, and started in February, I started focusing on what I was planning on doing this year. And that was working on the swimming book and swimming posts, because those had only been about halfway through, maybe 2/3 of the way through of all the ideas I had listed out. Working on the Poly Content Digest. I had this idea for that series, and I think I might have started it late last year, I can't remember, but I really didn't do much with it. But then all of a sudden, all these new AI and repurposing tools came out, and hardly anybody, let alone was writing about them, but hardly anybody was creating content around them, and comparing them, and giving reviews of them. And while after the first set of reviews, I really haven't done anything when it comes to reviews, I started doing interviews with creators, and I think that's a really great expansion to that micro brand. I talk about this in the blog post down below, because every month when I make these vlogs, I make a blog. So I really encourage you to read that blog, because it is going to be a little bit different. But one thing I mentioned in there is that there is these different phases that I'm doing this year. Swimming, content repurposing, gaming, the main brand as well, the main meta niche, which we'll get to in a moment, because that's changing a lot. All these different focuses are different brands. They're different ideas that I want to work with. So as in my IRL life, I've been a swim instructor for most of my life, and that's what people know me as, is the pool guy, Mr. Aquaman or whatever. And so I wanted to extend that by being able to reach more people by creating content around swimming. Well, I didn't want to create a whole sub-brand for swimming, because it's me. It's me who they're coming for. PolyInnovator is me. I wanted to keep that swimming part as an extension of PolyInnovator. Whereas PolyInnovator Gaming really needed to be its own thing because of just how expansive it already is. If PolyInnovator is doing all this, I can't be having another one that's going all this. And so what I needed to do was keep things kind of separate, allowing them to be a little bit self-sufficient. Or PolyInnovator Gaming to be self-sufficient. And thus, there was kind of two distinctions there. The swimming one didn't really have much in the way of having its own brand. It was just part of PolyInnovator. And then the gaming one really needed to be its own thing because of just how it is. Because of the way that it is. And so there's also kind of in the middle here, the idea of the Poly Content Digest. It's kind of swinging back and forth, where it's almost enough to be its own brand, especially if I make that Poly Tools website or when I make it. But I still see it as part of PolyInnovator. That's kind of just where I'm at. And so I have these 3 different focuses, plus the main one. And my attention's split, and I feel like I'm going 10 different miles, 10 different ways. And even right now, explaining this, I kind of have a hard time articulating it, despite the fact I just wrote about it. And so I guess the easiest way to think about it is 1, 2, 3. Number 1, getting the swimming book done, and that swimming phase can end. It'll be put on the back burner for when I need to make the course down the line. Cool. But I've not been writing it at all, hardly. And then, I hate how squeaky this chair is. The next thing would be the PolyTools website. I really want to get that out there because it's way more expensive than all the other aggregators I've seen. Because a lot of them are focusing on AI tools, not more than that. Like, I have content repurposing, AI, blogging, all kinds of different stuff on mine. And so mine's just different. I want to be able to give it to the world and have them see all the tools that I've been seeing. However, how do I go about making it? And so once I get that done, then all I have to do with Poly and content is just make the newsletter and make the interviews. Maybe reviews if I decide to next year. But for the most part, 2 different things, not a huge deal. Interviews will take some time, but I like doing them. They're actually really enjoyable, just like the POLYCASTS interviews. But with the creator interviews, I get to talk shop. Like even today, we spent an hour after my interview talking with this person, talking just about different stuff. Oh, hi, Jefferson. Come here, boy. And so I also brought my dog home. Come here, Jeffrey. Come say hi. Come here, buddy. And so I got my puppers. And so it's one of those things that whenever I'm creating all this content, I'm really trying to create that consistency layer for all these different phases. And when it comes to those 2 projects, if I get those done, then the focus can be taken off of those phases. I may be able to continue making content around them. That's not going to be that big of a deal. It won't be that much bandwidth to make a blog post every week or an interview once a week or whatever. However, that newfound time and focus can be put on the 2 main things. All right, buddy, I'm going to put you down. Here you go, bud. Now, the 2 main things, PolyInnovator Gaming, mentioned that earlier. Going forward, I'm going to be calling the, I guess, meta niche for PolyInnovator instead of just polymathy. It's knowledge management for polymathy. Because all this time, I've been talking about the PIOS or modular degree or the content ecosystem, all these different methodologies I've used for knowledge management and how to use it as a polymath, that kind of thing. That's what I've been talking about, but I have not been marketing myself as that. And I think that once I get that knowledge management focus for polymaths, I can still keep talking about polymaths and making the polymath newsletter, and it'll still be completely on brand. But then people will know more what I'm about when it comes to the knowledge management side of things. And so that's what's making me really excited. Because once I can start focusing on that, that'll motivate me to actually make PolyInnovator videos. Besides the interviews, this is the first video I've made in a month. And so, breathe. Knowledge management will be the focus going on forward. And I can focus on maybe the PIOS for capacities newsletter that I have an idea for, and really just kind of generate those out and make that a thing. And from there, start really digging into that subject. And I think that's going to make me grow a lot faster because people will actually know what I'm about. People don't know what not a polymath is, really. And that's okay. Not everyone needs to, but most people who are polymathic do. And so people who are polymathic, they're going to be curious enough to learn. Cool. But if they know what most people do seem to know what knowledge management is, or at the very least they know somebody who does it, like Ali Abdal or something like that, and so they can kind of get an idea much easier than it would be just for polymathy on its own. I'm going to go ahead and stop there because this is already getting kind of talking a lot. But if I can just get down to those 2 focuses, the gaming and the knowledge management for polymaths, I think that, okay, stop. I think that I'll be able to progress a lot faster. Cheers.